This one's wavy.
Hey, Rhinestoners. Welcome to episode 12 of Rhinestone.
Rhinestoned.
I don't know why I keep doing the jazz hands, but to me, I
Oh,
feel like that's
well,
my version
we're children of Bring It On.
of Rhinestone. Yeah, I mean,
We
just,
can't help ourselves.
that I feel like is just what feels right for me. So that's what I'm doing.
I like it.
Well, so Rhinestoners, we are actually coming to you on a Sunday. We had fully intended to keeping to our Friday schedule, which we're loving. I think Fridays work for
Yeah,
us,
I agree.
but you have some unfortunate news to share, right?
I'm pregnant. Sorry. Well, last
Hey, babies are blessings.
thank you. Last week on the pod, I mentioned that I might get a hand, foot, and mouth during my weekend planned update. And we had such a great time at that birthday party. I was texting you throughout.
I
My
know it looks so
daughters,
fun.
this place.
It's
Oh,
so cute.
I mean, really, they really know how to do it. You walked in, it smelled clean. Oh man, a mother's dream. Anyway, got hand, foot, and mouth. Sure did. Got it in my mouth. Got sores in my mouth currently.
Oh,
So my beautiful sister here, thank you for just like allowing us to punt a bit. But we still wanted to get it done because we still want to come back on Friday and there's
yeah, it's
new
going to
stuff
be
to talk
another
about.
week. There's going to be so much other stuff to talk about.
I mean, there are things that this podcast obviously doesn't cover, but the fact that we are it is going to be, oh, it's February 1st.
Yeah,
We've lived 10 lives.
it's insane. I mean, really, if you really think about it, this has been a month that's been giving in terms of celebrity, culture, entertainment. It's been fun. This
Yeah,
was a good one.
yeah. There's
Just
so much good stuff.
powering through.
There's so much good stuff. I mean, we didn't even really, I don't know, there's still time. We could still talk about the Oscars on Friday, but I was just thinking about that. Like, oh my God, Oscars came and not the event, but the
Yeah,
announcement, right? And that feels like 2 months ago.
I know. It's insane. And tonight we have the Grammys. Are you going to be watching? I cannot wait.
I
I
just want to let everyone know that Sleep Token is nominated
Are they?
for Best Rock Song of the Year.
There
And,
you go.
and in my little head, for some reason, I want to believe that that means they're going to perform live. They won't.
Oh, but
Not
maybe they'll
true.
get, doesn't the Grammys do those like off to the side performances now? Like where there's like,
That's
oh,
what
you're
I was
not important
hoping.
enough to be in studio,
But
but
like
we found
you're on
another studio for
tour.
you to perform at.
Exactly. Oh my God.
That
Okay.
might happen. I wouldn't count them out. I think it's
I'm
possible.
I haven't I literally back in the days of monoculture, these type of things kind of would be surprises, you know? And
Yeah.
so for me, I'm just trying to like box it out so I can just come to the Grammys fresh.
Yeah.
Just like let it wash over me. I'm sure it'll
Yeah.
be terrible.
Well, we'll both be tuning in. We'll talk about
You've
that on
been
Friday.
you've been hibernating.
Yeah. No, I mean, last night was the first night in a while I think that I'd been out. It's so cold here in New York.
You went out? Can I
Yeah.
know that? Where'd you
We went
go?
we went to a restaurant like around the corner from us that just opened. It was so cute. It was a good mix of people. And it's just like exciting to have fancier places. It's kind of a fancier place for where we are. It's
Gosh.
like an all day, I think all day like in the morning I think they have like pastries and coffee and then paninis and then like at night it's like a restaurant. You would
Oh,
love it.
oh, I would love it.
The
When
vibes
I
were the vibes were great.
when I lived in San Francisco, I lived, it was not the Tenderloin, right? But it was kind of, I would say, north of Japantown, if anyone knows where that is. And once you get out of the delicious food of Japantown, right, you're in then a food desert until you start to get kind of
Yeah.
into like Nob Hill and some of the good areas and stuff. And so, yeah, when we would get a new place on Polk Street that wasn't a bar, because as you know, Polk Street was just bar after bar after bar, someplace that we could actually eat. Kuma Sushi, if any Rhinestoners are still in San Francisco and patron that place, my husband and I, we shut that place down. We were like, finally, finally, food in our food desert. It's so exhilarating. I love that.
I mean, it is. It's just like it's a good feeling to have, the potential of like something new to add into the mix. Because I think you don't know until then you go whether it is any good. And it was. So I definitely think we'll be back, which is exciting. And then we went to a tiki bar after that was also interesting and like there was some live music. So yeah, it's good to get out.
Good tikis, like good drinks. Did they get it
Yeah,
right
we got these really cool glasses actually that we
on
bought.
the
We both
show?
just had zombies, but they had all of these souvenir glasses that you could have your drink in, or you could buy them at the end, which is what we did. You would have loved it. I should have taken a picture of all the different ones. There was maybe like 15.
There were so many tiki. Again, once again, I would say San
I
Francisco.
love
So
tiki
many tiki bars we didn't
bars.
go to
They're
that
just
I
the
never took
best.
you to.
They're just the best. Well, hey, let's get into it because
Smuggler's Cove. Shout
it's
out. Anyway,
Sunday. We're short on time, but there's like literally so much that happened last week. And
it's
I think like
crazy. It's crazy after Beckham that we just kept going.
going, okay, well, first up, I will share is actually part of my inspiration today for my look
Mm, I see
because
it.
Valentine's Day is upon us.
I see the vision.
And I don't know about you, but I will be going to see Wuthering Heights on Valentine's Day. Tickets are already booked. Cannot wait. And I just felt like we would be remiss to not talk about the looks that Margot Robbie has been serving for this press run. I am just absolutely flabbergasted how she keeps topping every single time. And I will say, this is something she did particularly well with Barbie as well.
I was going to say
Shout out,
Barbieheimer.
yeah, shout out to this stylist that I know she's been working on like for the last several years that I think does have a really big impact on marketing. Here is
Yes.
why. As we know, especially for a movie like Barbie or Wuthering Heights, you're ultimately marketing towards women, right? And
Thank you.
we love this shit, okay? Like the whole point of like the lead up and the romance of it all, like we want to feel that. We are the ones that are looking at a red carpet, at a press event, paying like attention to the socials of the stars that are in the movie. Of course, if this is a movie we want to see, right? So with Barbie, it was like she was giving us something different every single time, almost as if like, I think she was recreating like old Barbie looks. And now with
Yeah.
Wuthering Heights, like just the romance, the deep red and black. I don't know if you saw the one like the little red leather look. I think that's
Um,
probably like my
that might be
absolute
my that the
favorite
legs,
right
the
now. And just
legs.
the hair, like the way this the delicate little curls hanging. This has just been such a joy to watch. And I don't know if it's over, but hopefully we're gonna get a couple more looks. But thank
I
you,
was
Mark.
even thinking to go as far in that red look. It was like the juxtaposition of the red look against the garden background. The
So beautiful.
team knows exactly what they're doing. They're thinking through every layer. It brings me back to those old Hollywood days where, Clark Gable would like get someone pregnant, have an illegitimate child, and deny it until they were 21. Just like the fun times, the good old days. Bring us back.
You're so ridiculous. Oh,
No, I mean, I think my favorite, it had to be the black and red ombre. I mean,
yeah, the premiere look.
anything, anything that's reminiscent from the rose, growing from the concrete, I'm a sucker for. Um, I think the more
And that
interest,
Elizabeth Taylor necklace that she was wearing too,
oh,
with the
the
ombre, that
jewels.
heart. I am such a sucker for a necklace that hangs down the back like that.
This is why I would say not to always bring it back to Kimberly Noel Kardashian. However, this is one of the
How could we not?
reasons. Well, I just love her because, it's always like that. Like the looks are fully considered. There used to
Yeah,
literally be back in our day, there used to be a girl who had a blog that was NBD,
I remember.
or no,
Wait.
NAB, needs a bracelet, basically. And her whole blog was basically just, it was kind of like the Perez Hilton of fashion, where she would cover fashion looks, but then it would always be commentary on like, this needs a bracelet, right? And
Yeah,
what she was saying is like, just, and that's what Kimberly does so well. It's always like it's the Bulgari, borrowed
totally.
jewels, right? I love that.
It's just beautiful. So
It makes
we'll
it
continue
fun.
to talk about it. I'm sure like once Wuthering Heights actually comes out, we'll have to talk about it on the
Can
pod.
I ask though, really quickly, because I do want to understand this from you. What do you think of Jacob Elordi?
I mean, so I guess my curiosity, and maybe this has already been reported, I wonder if there is like, it does feel like there's some coordination maybe going on between their stylists, or I would even be curious if maybe he's using her stylist. Probably
Okay.
not, but so to me, it feels
Cohesive.
yes, I do for
Okay.
the most part think it is cohesive, and I also think that to the point about marketing, his mere presence is enough. And that's where I almost wouldn't be surprised if like the direction for his looks is let's just not outshine Margot.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Because if he does too much, then it does sort of take away. Like right now, I think like the reason people are having this reaction is because you see the photos and you're just like shoo, into
It's fair.
her.
It's
Right?
fair.
Like that she is clearly like the prize in all of these like,
This is not his Marty Supreme moment.
and he still looks great. So it's not like he's showing up like some schlub. Like I actually really like some of his looks, but I don't think that, like for instance, the Grammys tonight, and you're going to see a lot of men that are going to really be showing out. It's the Grammys. You have music artists tend to be a little bit more adventurous as well with their red carpet looks. So and that's exciting to see, right? But I think that Jacob Elordi knows his place. His place is to make Margot look amazing. That's why the
And
movie's
he's
going to be
doing,
great.
man, and Jacob Elordi stays booked and busy. People
Isn't
saw
it? How is he like?
Euphoria and
It's
said,
starting
yeah.
to feel like his stuff is like he must be filming things at the same time. That's how it feels. It's like, how is he even like, are you
You would
filming
have to
two
be.
movies at the same time at all times? Because it's like the second something of his comes out, it feels like here we are again.
No, we
And
think
when
she.
does Euphoria come out? Because then it's gonna be like,
Oh, well, someone asked him that in an interview, and he was like, "Is that still on?" He's like, "I shot those scenes 4 years ago. Did they bank them or did they actually make them into something?" And they're like,
the
oh
shade,
no, there's a third season." And he's like, "Great. Love to see what they did with those clips."
the absolute shade.
Cool. Mm.
Okay, next up, I wanted to talk about something that I feel like is maybe sort of flying under the radar
Tell me.
because I will at least say I did not see too many people talking about it on Insta and TikTok, but that could have been a fluke. There was a page six article, I think it was like at the beginning of last week, sort of digging up some things that we already knew about the Safdie brothers. And I think
Oh,
I
these two.
actually saw that this page six writer was getting some heat for like, oh, why are they doing this? Why are they digging into this? But I think really they just were choosing to surface things that we know because both of the brothers have had movies recently, right?
Hmm.
So Benny had the Smashing Machine, which I mostly enjoyed. Wasn't
Okay.
like blown away, but
Yeah.
The Rock and Emily Blunt, like it was a good movie.
Serviceable.
I would definitely recommend it, right?
Yeah.
And then we still haven't seen Marty Supreme, right?
Oh my God.
I
No.
I I haven't, but obviously Joshua directed Marty Supreme. So I think it's a little unfair that this page six journalist is taking heat. I think they're just sort of, bringing up something that is sort of relevant, which is they're not on speaking terms and they haven't been for some time due
Hmm.
to an incident that occurred while they were filming a previous film together. And
Hmm.
I'm not going to get into the details, but basically
Hmm.
something very, very inappropriate happened with a 17-year-old
Hmm.
on set.
Hmm.
And I think Joshua was the one that was actually in the director's chair. Benny was off to the side watching. And I guess has just sort of decided to cut ties with his brother over this incident. Now, I think part of the other reason that it surfaced is because, or where this initially even became documented, fascinating, is because of Emrata's divorce. What's his name? I can't even.
Does
I
everything just
couldn't
come
even
back
be
to
bothered to look at
Emrata?
his name again because that guy just like really creeps me out. Do you remember when they were together and we actually had to like look at photos of them together? Oh,
You know
he
what he
always
reminds me of? You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of like when you finally get to the end of Beauty and the Beast and the prince turns back into the prince and he's all blonde and you're like,
yes.
ew, no, like that's not right. Redo.
Like, please go back to the beginning. It's not what we want to see. Sebastian Bear McLard. What a name.
What a Sebastian.
Yeah, so a lot of this was documented, I guess, in the divorce because he apparently, I think, struck up a relationship with said 17-year-old after filming. But, I think what's more interesting outside of the fact that they're not talking is sort of just like the general obsession anyways with the Safdie brothers. I guess I'm like curious. I'm such a hater, man.
No, I know. I know. I'm so over
But
this
I
shit.
just feel like, the last 5, 10 years, it's like every time they come up, it's like the way they're talked about. I just have never understood it, if I'm being honest. I feel like it's always sort of this like, oh, wow, like they do such a good job of portraying New York and like, kind of like almost like this artistic genius or like they have this very specific style or,
Yeah,
whatever, right? I
yeah.
just don't really think they're that great of filmmakers.
Well, okay, and
And
here's
I know I haven't seen Marty Supreme, so probably I'm gonna get, trashed for this take. But
well,
um
I mean, but we've seen other. I can't name them, but I saw Uncut Gems, and then I saw the one with Robert Pattinson's before that. Robert Pattinson before that. I can't remember what it was. So I have seen some Safdie joints. I got to get up to Scott. So, okay, here's my take on it though. Yeah, I was thinking about it when Hamnet came out with
mhm,
Chloe Zhao, right? And like some of the articles, follow me here. Some of the articles that I read were like articles I read, TikToks I consumed, Instagram reels I unfortunately saw were like, well, Chloe, this is just like how she does it, and like this is so from the mind of Chloe, and like of course Chloe would approach it this way. And I was just thinking, like, when did we get to this point though, where one, because you consume art from someone that you think that you understand what's in their mind when they're creating that art, right?
yeah,
And that in order to be successful, that art has to notably come from them, right? That
yeah,
they have to impart some of their um ownness, right? Or uniqueness. And sorry, I'm sick, so I'm not going to have all my words today, right? In order for that thing to be commercially viable.
yeah,
And I take issue with that, right? Because I'm like, I don't we look at with Wes Anderson, perfect example, right? Where it's like immediately from the texture, from the way it's been filmed, from the
yeah,
color, right? Okay, this is Wes Anderson before you even get to the content, right? That's cool, but that's what like I feel as though now then the Safdie brothers I feel are falling a bit to this, right? Where it's like this shtick, they move fast. Therefore their sets move fast. Therefore you have to be incredibly, malleable on set. And this is the time. And it's like,
yeah,
can we just go back to what it means to be a good director, what it
yeah,
means to have a vision, and sorry, like not to make this about everything here, but I would even say that this is where Justin Baldoni failed because it wasn't in him to just make art. It was in him to pick this incredibly uh uh dense topic that he is not an expert in, that as a man already it's like should you even be talking about it, to then place himself in a director's seat, to then hopefully get to a point where
yeah,
people are praising him.
yeah,
And then my last thing is I was thinking like what do I mean when I say all of that, right? So then I was thinking Ridley Scott, who happens to be a director I love. Okay, so Ridley Scott, The Alien or Alien, Blade Runner, Thelma and Louise, The Martian, right? Ridley Scott is an amazing director because of his ability to direct amazing IP. Not because you watch a Ridley Scott movie and you're like, he did it again.
yeah,
Wow, I've been taken away to a Safdie universe, and so I'm kind of over it. I'm a
yeah.
little over it. And that's
It
my
feels
take.
like what you're saying is they're a little bit too into themselves.
Yeah, it's like, did they go to Tish?
That's what I'm saying. It's just giving NYU kid. And I can say that because I am one. It's just giving a bunch of
It
NYU kids. Like, and I
is. It
think
really
that,
is.
again, to me, the other issue with this incident is it's harkening back to Me Too. It's very like what are these men doing in positions of power? Why do they think these types of things are okay? Um, like I guess part of why this incident occurred is they have a history of hiring normal people, and it's been documented sometimes those normal people have had criminal backgrounds, as does the perpetrator of this incident with the 17-year-old. Why does that have to be a feature of your films? And if it is a feature of your films, to your point, why as a responsible director are you not putting things in place to assure the safety of your non-normal people that are on set, right? Like on
Well,
your actual actors that you are paying or that you have cast in this role. That's the part that's just like it just reeks of like negligence, right? And again, sort of the power tripping of like, I don't have to go through these protocols. I don't have to do these things. I care more about the authenticity of my film than I do about making sure that I'm bringing people onto set that are going to be safe for everyone. So I don't know. I guess like understand why Benny's not speaking to Joshua, sure. Um, Not really understanding though why we're going to continue to see movies from these two. But here
no,
we are.
and you're reminding me a little bit too, the Sam Levinson of it all, right? Same idea where it's like, but why? Because we have a show like The Icon about the exploitation of young women, does it have to be that there's exploitation of young women happening on set? I don't
Yes.
understand. Is that a prerequisite? And then sorry, but like even more to your point, August Cloud, right? Who
Yeah.
it was not I'm not saying it's on Sam Levinson that this kid overdosed, right? But obviously, if he's in active addiction and on your show and he's 19 or whatever he was, like there has to be a little bit more care to. And now we're going to give you thousands of dollars. Go enjoy that addiction with more money. It's like, well, what did you think was going to happen? You
Yeah,
know?
sure.
Sad.
It is
Sad.
sad. So I don't know. I mean, I actually haven't checked back in to see if this one has gone anywhere further. I think it was kind of just a calling out of like, hey, by the way, did everyone forget that they're not even on speaking terms? Um, but I guess, we'll just have to see.
Well, and I think too, to your point about like normal people, I think there might be this desire to be like the next person to present this young ingenue. Like I'm thinking about the woman who won for Nora, which
Mikey
she didn't
Madden.
really have a, yeah, Mikey Madison. She didn't really have a lightning of a, like Mikey Madison could have been in that Marty Supreme movie, and Odessa took that role. So I'm like, interesting that like that didn't really.
Well, that's actually a great segue. And there is that funny connection between the two of them because Odessa is Pamela Adlin's daughter, and Mikey
Yeah.
Madison used to play Pamela Adlin's
Yes.
daughter on television. So, but
Do do
I want
do
to
do
get into this
do.
because this has probably been one of the stories that I personally have been upset by in the past week. And I know that my opinion is probably not the predominant one at this point.
Oh, I'm on pins and needles.
But Odessa Azion had been cast in an A24 film, Deep Cuts. I think the name of her character she got cast is Zoe,
Okay.
which is a character. Well, at the time it was reported it was a character of Mexican descent. I think it's since sort of been teased out more that it's a character of Mexican and Jewish heritage.
Okay.
But there was a lot of immediate backlash because you're casting a Jewish actress to play a Mexican character.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to be, I think, just such a big news story that she eventually made the decision to withdraw from the parts.
Mm-hmm.
She posted
Mm-hmm.
on her Insta about it, saying something to the effect of, sorry guys, like, I went in for this one part, different part, and then she got cast as Zoe. And that basically, as soon as this came to her attention, she was like, there's no way I'm not doing it. Here's why I'm upset. It's not that it's wrong of her to make the decision to pull back from a role where maybe her background, ethnicity, heritage, whatever, does not align. But I do think that there is an insane double standard that is happening here in that she is just now arriving on the scene. So she has more attention being paid to her. I think because of her Jewish heritage and the fact that she has at least been publicly sort of aligned as a Zionist, there has been a lot of conversation about her background ever since she's been on I Love LA.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like because of that, there's like this weird lens that's being placed on her where suddenly we're critiquing her casting choices, like
Yeah.
there are so many examples right now
I know.
of other actors and actresses that are in roles whose heritage or ethnicity does not align to their own background.
I will say really quickly, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like when Haley Steinfeld was in Sinners, and everyone was like, because she's a person of color, and then they dug deep and she's like 1/30th of something. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, ah, is that like really? Like really? Really?
I just think we need to make up our mind, right?
That's
Like
what I'm
I
saying.
think it either needs to be everyone can only play roles that align to their background and ethnicity, or everyone gets a pass, because otherwise, I think that it is way too nuanced to be saying at every moment this person can do this. And now, again, let me make another point. For sure, I think there are exceptions, right? If you are going out there and starring in a film, let's say that is based off of a real person, okay, and that is the focus of the film, is that person's life, right? Then I do understand how maybe that is not as advantageous for the viewers to have that person come from a wildly different background, right?
Right.
Like, I'm thinking, like, if you do a movie about Whitney Houston, right? You can't just put a
Okay.
white woman in that role, right? But
Well,
to get
well,
into the
Zoe
weeds,
Saldana would say differently because she just did go and play. Who did Zoe Saldana play?
I know
Zoe.
this was actually my point too. I brought this up when I was talking about this before. It's like, what?
Oh yeah, Nina Simone. She said, "Give me that afro."
Let's go.
Tanning bed, level 5.
He did actually get a lot of flack for that. But I also think this is another point. It's actresses that are getting more shit for this type of stuff than actors. And that also pisses me
Hmm.
off about it. So I'm upset. I don't think that she should have withdrawn. I also think, as someone early in her career, that's a really, really bad precedent to cave to the pressure of either fans and also probably what was mostly non-fans. It's just weird. Like,
Yeah.
I think that, like, to say like, oh, she didn't know, blah 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 blah. No, she's trying to work. She's a working actress. She went out
Right.
for a part. She got cast in a different part, and she took it because she needs the money and the exposure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
then she was berated for it. And here's the last thing I will say. I guarantee you, people will take issue with whoever takes this role now in her place. I
oh,
actually saw someone point out, are they going to, if they now move forward with hiring a Mexican actress, what about this character's Jewish heritage?
right. Right. There's no.
So, which is it?
Also, not to be this person, but I would say, then I think we have to your point, I think then what we have to then say is there's no cherry picking that rule. And so in two very recent examples of Mikey Madison and Connor Story, we have two people who are not Russian, playing Russians, learning how to and depicting Russians on screen and getting intense praise. One's getting an Oscar for it,
Winning
right?
awards.
We're winning awards, but then we're deciding that this other race is no, that's a bridge too far, right? So what I would say is then everyone needs to stay in their lane if that's what it is,
Yeah.
right? So that it's a delicate subject. I think it also comes up, and we talked about this maybe episode 3 when the same thing comes up when it comes to the LGBTQ plus
Yeah.
community, right? Which it's like who deserve or maybe not deserves, who should play these roles, who should be depicting a gay man, who should be depicting queer characters if I'm not queer.
Yeah.
I don't know, but then again, I think too this goes back to like the DEI conversation that we're having as a country in whole too, which is just like you want to what you really do want to just do is like who's most excellent for this thing, and through that lens hope that you're servicing the art. And I think
Yeah.
that that's really what's a tough thing is like ultimately, whoever is making that decision, it's a very closed room. It's not a universal decision. Casting decisions are not made by committee. Like it is going to be based on the opinions of these five people who are making this thing and have the money to make this thing.
Well, and
And we're
unfortunately,
not in
more
that
goes into it
room.
too, just than talent, right? Like there's marketing decisions being made, like what is the following and fandom of this particular actor or actress
Who
that's being
wants to be in it?
cast.
Who
There's
could
so
we actually
many,
get?
yeah.
Right?
I
Not
think
all
the other thing
actresses
with
are going to
Odessa
want
too, though, that she's suffering from, which I also think Zoe suffered from too, which, is hard for a lot of us, is pretty girl syndrome.
it. So fair. It's so you damned if you
But
do and
it's
you're
true. I
damned if
mean,
you
I
don't.
do think she is stunning. Okay. She's changed her hair. People are like, who is that? She's had a couple of great looks. People just love to. It's again, if there's other examples of this happening at the same time, people are just not reporting about it.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely, and Zoe Saldana is also very, very pretty, which by the way, just resurfaced. Have you ever seen that photo of her with like her two sisters and their husbands?
No.
I'll send it to you. Her sisters are just as stunning as her, but it's just so
Oh,
funny. They're all married to white men. It's just the
you
cutest
can't tell me that.
girls.
You can't tell me there's two more of those.
They are stunning.
Those perfect freaking creatures. It blows my mind that Zoe Saldana like wins Oscars, like hangs out on beaches, like has a full life with her husband, and then just like fucks around and does Avatar.
I know. And also, I think I just saw, isn't she now like the highest paid actress of all time?
Uh,
I think I
me,
just saw that.
me and Steve, or no, what's his not
Absolutely.
Steve? Who does the Avatar?
Yeah, but anyways, I wish Odessa the best. I hope she figures it out, but I think she should just
Cameron.
follow her heart and
Oh, well, I would
not
say
be
to
not
your
be so
point,
pressed by other people.
yeah, she's who she kind of reminds me of is not in looks, but in like opportunity in Hollywood. Leonardo DiCaprio's actress girlfriend from a couple of years ago who was on that Daisy and the Six show.
Camila Morone.
They to me, they're so gorgeous. It's
I
like,
love
ooh, I
her.
don't even
She
know
is
what you do with
stunning.
a face like that.
She has a new show coming out too, I think, that I'm definitely gonna watch. I like her a
She's
lot.
stunning.
Well, we got one other little fun tidbit last week, and it's, for me was just something that has truthfully been eating away at me for years, especially
Oh.
as a Real Housewives of, Miami fan and obviously watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which is what the hell happened between Kim and Larsa. And while we didn't actually find out, we at least did get to
Ella.
see, hear, I would say rather see Kim's feelings on the matter. So, Kim, as I'm sure you saw, was on Chloe's podcast, most recent guest. And they talked about a lot of things. We can maybe touch on the Meghan Markle of it all in a second. But one of them was Chloe asking about Larsa. Those two used to be really, really good friends and then suddenly stopped hanging out with each other.
Yeah.
And in the clip, I think that Kim says something to the effect of like, oh, she moved to Miami, basically kind of like, I love her kids, our kids are friends. But the best part about it was a face that she made when giving the answer that really just said all we need to know. So it was a really good attempt at making, I think, us all believe that everything is cool and hokey dokey, but we know it's not. And I really do hope that someday Kim will tell us the real story. We
I
all
do
know
too.
something happened there. Come on. None of us are dumb. You guys clearly had a falling out. We all know it was Larsa's fault. And whatever it was she did, we would like to hear about it, Kim. So, please, the next time you come on Chloe's podcast, we would appreciate it if you could just tell us the real story because we know that you ain't friends with that bitch.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna say, and I am not saying anything about Larsa. I know nothing. Everything is alleged, and I'm a liar.
I
So
do sort of like Larsa just because she's good television, but
I know. But you have to understand, you're dating a man a couple of years ago. What's his face? Michael, whatever. Michael Jordan's kid, who's at multiple Miami day clubs, not nightclubs, open air, no gondola, railing lines, broad daylight. I mean, so I think that maybe that is a little bit. I'm just saying, you lay down with dogs, you're gonna get fleas, right?
Yeah,
I think maybe it really is that Kim does not
want to
play about
associate.
her public image in that
Yeah,
way. And I do think my perception, if anyone wants to know what I think, that's why you're here. I
I
think
do think you're right that Larsa kind of was starting to undergo this transformation into the current Larsa that we know.
correct.
And I think that probably was because she was kind of under Kim's wing for a while. I think her divorce was progressing or starting. I can't remember the exact timeline. And I think that sent her on a journey of I need to find the new me, and the new her was not Kim K compatible.
This
So,
also, sorry, but this also makes me think like, what happened to Addison Rae and Kourtney Kardashian?
oh
Weren't they best
yeah.
friends?
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that.
Also, what happened to Kourtney Kardashian and like, uh, what's her face? MJK, MGK's wife. I'm so
Oh,
sorry
Megan
that I'm forgetting.
Fox.
Those type of things I do wonder. I'm
Well,
just like,
that was only a thing though, I think, because
they were.
they
He
were
was making an
because Megan
album.
Fox and MJ they were still together and they were like double date buddies.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, it
It's
does make
always
me
hard when you have like a double date buddy like group like that, and then if
Mhm.
they split up, it's like you're not really. Sometimes the only thing that works is like when both couples are there. You know, like
Yeah,
there's those type of friendships where it's just like, oh, we're friends, but like when we're with our partners,
yeah.
you know.
Or you go on that like you go on a double date and then you leave and you're in the car and you're just like, oh, that was great. That was the last time we're ever going to see them. And your husband is like, wasn't that so fun? And you're just like, oh, they're there, you poor little kid. We're never going to see those people again. Little do you know, I've written them off. Kidding. That's what it's like though.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so then I, you know, that little tidbit was great, and then the only other thing I think worth mentioning is the Meghan Markle of it all. But I'll be honest, I'm kind of getting tired of that story. But we definitely got some shade from Chloe and Kim that, obviously Meghan and Prince Harry did crush that party, as we all knew. They did allow for their photos to be taken, and then they did freak out about it because they realized it was Women's Day, which, I think just says more about them than anything else. And I think Meghan Markle got played.
The way Kim told that story was so diplomatic and kind and way more kind than she needed to be about telling that story.
But it was still shady in that it's totally locking Meghan into a corner. Like, there's really nothing she can do at this point to change the perception around what happened that evening. And I think it does say a lot that they weren't even remembering that it was Remembrance Day. I mean, if that just doesn't say all we need to know about where they're both at, it's like, come on. I you know what I kept thinking about when this kind of popped up this week? How hilarious is it that Kris Jenner's birthday party just happened to be on that day anyways? Like it's really giving, And then that's the party that they choose to crash. I think there's probably been at least like 10 Kardashian parties since Harry and
I know.
Montecito, like
But also, it just makes
celebrity
me,
gods, man. This is what we're saying about January. I'm just kidding.
I know, blessed beyond belief. But it does make you think like the experience of waking up as Meghan Markle. I mean, it must just be just like you're just waking up and you're just, it's just like,
But to your point, on that morning, what was it? November, what's Remembrance Day? The 5th or the 11th? I don't know. The next morning, it was like, oh, abort, abort, abort.
abort, abort. Oh my God, she's
I'm
sitting
seeing
ahead.
some photos and I need them taken down immediately.
Oh my God. And she's like blissfully sitting back. She's like, let's see those Getty images
I was
from
just
last
gonna say, she
night.
went to bed at night so excited, like, I'm gonna be in those photographs. Well, I really, really missed you last week because I got to do something really cool and I would have
I
like killed for you to be there. But I went up to the 92nd Y, which like they do events like all the time actually, which is cool.
I was
Like
gonna,
all
can
these
you
different
explain
like
what it is? It's a
it's
theater?
it's a YMCA location, but
Okay.
this particular one has like a really big theater and then other like kind of as we were exiting, we saw there's like definitely carved off maybe a couple more spaces, I would
Cool.
say, because as we were leaving what is, I think, the biggest theater, we actually saw like another panel happening, like kind of behind some glass panels. So
Cool.
I think there's definitely different spaces there, which is really cool. But they were hosting the cast of Summer House to talk about their upcoming season, which is a big one because it's season 10.
Oh my God, I'm
And
so excited.
I mean, I cannot wait. They basically said they were going to have like majority of the cast there, and then they were going to show us some exclusive clips. So we went. I will say it was very disappointing because Ciara was not there. She was definitely one of the ones that I was like, oh, I mean, because she's just so stunning. Ciara's
Love
like
her in person.
gorgeous,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But that was because she was on the red carpet for Wuthering Heights.
My
I saw the next
girl.
day. I remember I texted you like, "Oh, well, this is why Ciara wasn't there." So good
In
for
the
her.
powder blue perfection.
She
Are
looked
you
so
kidding?
so good, absolutely stunning. But I did get to see Kyle, Amanda, Carl,
Still a
Lindsay,
good group.
West, and Jesse. So it was basically like majority of the core group outside of Ciara. So that was really, really cool. It was really fun, like just seeing them all on stage together. I think the seating order was like Kyle, Lindsay, Carl, Amanda, West, Jesse. So of course
Okay.
Amanda and Kyle were separated, shall we say.
Separated.
Um, so yeah, I thought Rhinestoners, I just like quickly recap some of the things I thought were interesting. Because it was supposed to be like, I think a lot of this is like stuff that is not really going to be like that surprising. But you know, it was just fun hearing them like talk about the upcoming season. First off, it like cracked me up. The woman that they got to moderate, I can't remember her name. I think she was like former like Access Hollywood correspondent or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
But she basically comes out the gate and is like, so Amanda and Kyle, like, we're definitely gonna like respect your privacy tonight and blah blah blah. But that being said, how are you both doing? And I just was like, I'm sorry, what?
Tactful.
Like respecting their privacy would have been like, we're not gonna talk about it. So I just the way that she introed that was really funny.
Oh,
Um, I personally thought that Kyle sounded like he was going to cry at one point at the end of his one of his answers. My boyfriend disagrees. It just felt like his voice kind of cracked,
okay.
is what I heard. But
Okay.
they were very aligned, I would say, in their
Hmm.
answers. They talked about some of the things that they think they've been already publicly saying, that they're co-parenting the doggies and that's like
Oh,
going well.
okay.
Um, so it was very like amicable. They seemed to be in a good, like a better place. They were sort of sharing that, like, I think the way he described it was like, it's like a weight has been lifted and like it's
Hmm.
lighter between them now, which I think anyone who has ended a long-term relationship or marriage does know that feeling, right? It's like once you eventually rip the band-aid or you make that decision, inevitably there is that feeling of lightness that just sort of comes
Sure.
upon you, right? Because
Sure.
that's what it can feel like at the end,
It's
right?
not
So to
serving
think
you.
that,
Absolutely.
yeah, like an anchor. So,
Yeah.
that part was interesting. I definitely have been seeing some other clips where, like, we're definitely gonna, it's very much gonna be like a page trajectory. I think we are gonna watch the disintegration of their relationship on this season. And I think very similar to Paige, talking about her feelings about Craig and starting to work through whether or not, she was going to end the relationship. I think we're going to see some of that with Amanda as well. So that will be
Absolutely.
very interesting. Um, Lindsay's still single. Basically, just to cut to the chase, the entire cast is single.
Oh, this is gonna be a messy summer.
All of them are single. Well, obviously, while filming, Amanda and Kyle are still together, but
Yeah, they're
everyone
talking
else
about.
currently is single. They did talk a little bit about the new series that some of them are going to be on in the city.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the thing that I just find really ironic about that is Amanda kind of took the lead on that question and sort of described the show and said that, while the Hamptons is a lot more like single, hookup, like party culture, and like that's the basis of the show. In the city is going to reflect more of like serious relationships, partnerships, all of that. Fine, but you're all sitting there single telling us that here's this show coming out that's going to show us like a more mature, like, oh, this is more grown up. This is more.
And what did that lead to?
And I just, to me, that was like a little bit confusing because I'm just like, fine. I guess what it does sound like is like the other cast members are friends of Kyle and Amanda's for like over 10 years. And so I have to assume that those are the relationships and the marriages that we're gonna get
That
a
could
little
be
bit
fun, seeing
deeper
new
into.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do think, and like Kyle like said these are people that have never been on television before. So I
Oh,
think
I'm excited.
that I do think is going to be exciting. And I mean, I
Okay.
know you and I are both going to watch, so we'll probably review that Rhinestoners when that releases,
Oh, wow.
which will be exciting. So yeah, Lindsay seems to be doing well. She's single. She recently moved apartments. I will say, and I know you won't be surprised to hear this, but throughout the whole panel, it really felt like Lindsay and Carl were carrying it. They just both have, like, as they always have, just such a fun, like,
They do.
banter and sort of vibe between the two of them. And I also just think individually, they both bring the most personality to the
Yeah.
table.
Yeah.
I like watching Wes on the show, but like as you would expect, he was kind of boring on this panel.
Yeah.
It's just it's not even like that what he's saying is boring. It was just the energy he was bringing was very like,
Yeah.
you know.
I think, yeah, just quickly on that, and I was thinking about this the other day. I think Wes is in a really interesting position, maybe a hard one, where you're working for two media companies.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, does he want to bring so much attention to what he's doing on Bravo? Because then that's attention that you're not bringing to Complex. I don't know exactly how that works for him. Sometimes
Yeah.
I think maybe that's why because I felt that way when at BravoCon. Everything I saw of Wes at BravoCon, I was like, is he asleep? Is he sleeping?
It's just I there's just something like where I just wish he would
Wake up.
perk up a little bit
Perk
more. Just a
Have a
little bit.
coffee.
I think that Jesse obviously like provides a little bit more, but maybe just didn't have as much going on. So I don't really feel like we heard from him as much during the panel. But
Okay.
that being said, he is continuing to work on music. Apparently, he has 3 new songs that are coming out.
I love
Um,
it.
and then he said there's going to be a special announcement in the spring. So Rhinestones will have to stay tuned for that. I'm guessing it's either like a full album or maybe like a mini tour or something like that. It definitely
Cool.
felt like something to do with his music that he
Okay.
seemed pretty excited about. To the point about them all being single, they did try and dig in with Jesse a little bit more on his dating life. That was sort of interesting. He said that he is currently looking for something different. So I don't know if that was like shade on Lexi or just past relationships, but that he is looking for a woman who is highly ambitious
Mm-hmm.
and potentially doing something kind of in the same arena that
Okay.
he's in. I thought
Okay.
it was very interesting that his answer led with like that, you know?
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like he always gives off that sort of vibe himself, like that he would be looking for someone that's like serious in their career.
Yeah.
Um, but in that, it was sort of revealed that he actually has been on 3 dates with someone in a row. And that was a really funny moment, I would say, but like between the audience and the moderator, because she was like, but you said you were single. So I think everyone was kind of like, Lindsay piped up and was like, I hope this woman doesn't hear this. Because it was like,
No. Jesse's already up to his Jesse stuff.
he's just sort of like, I mean, look, it's not to say like, yes, you are still single at 3 dates, right? But it was just the way he said it kind of made it seem like, oh, nothing's going on. And then as she prodded deeper, it's like, no, I've actually been on a date with the same person, like on 3 dates in a row. So that was interesting. They did ask about the Jesse and West Sierra triangle. We did not
Okay.
get much on that. One of the sneak peek scenes that we got was Ciara and Jesse in the bed, actually talking just about, what's been going on with them. And I think he was asking her about Wes as well. One thing that was really interesting about that scene that I think we got a peek into, and it's a good segue into the other cast members that were there because we did get to meet the new cast members as well, is in this scene with Jesse and Ciara, they're on the bed, and 2 of the new lady cast members kind of come by the bedroom and they see Jesse and Ciara like lying on the bed talking. The door is wide open. And they kind of like, oh, sorry, and like kind of like back up and like walk the other way. And of course, Jesse and Ciara are totally nice, like, oh, no, you're fine. Like, you're not interrupting anything. But they are clearly very awkward and feel like, okay, they have to move to the next room.
Mm-hmm.
This for me was a peek into why I'm potentially not going to like this season.
Tell
And
me.
it does come down to this whole new cast. I think this is going to be very, very weird having all of these new cast members here with the core team.
Okay.
And that
Okay.
scene is the perfect reason why.
Yeah.
I don't want to see people in Summer House that feel like, oh my God, I have to stay away from just like they're the famous ones. That's what it was giving. It was not giving like I'm your fellow cast member who has also been cast on this show and is like in all of the promos. It was very much giving like fan observing people they know to be very famous through this show. And that to me is just very awkward. Like we're supposed to now go on the journey of getting to know you. And some of the first things we're seeing is that you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. As if like you did something wrong.
I
You didn't.
agree.
They're
No.
having a conversation on the bed with the door open. That is the
Right.
show. It's popping in and
Right.
out. It's seeing what the other people are doing in the other side of the house. Like, if you already are like nervous to get into the mix and that's like the first clip we're seeing, it just was like, I don't
And
know how this is gonna go.
and this is where, last year there was a lot of back and forth. Were the girls nice to Lexi? Were the girls, and I didn't see any of that. I didn't see any bullying. I didn't see,
No.
but did the girls go out of their way? I don't know. Did Lexi probably feel a bit like that, right? That like, oh my God, this is Paige DeSorbo. Like, I don't know. Like, do I go up to Paige? Do I let Paige come to me? Yes, I'm sure Lexi did feel a
And
bit.
we did see that some of that with Lexi, but my point that even in that, it was one person having to
Thank
like
you.
go on that journey, not like a
Yes.
gaggle of girls that are like, oh, I can't
When it's
even enter the
half the
room.
cast, then it's going to be them, not them against us, right? But yeah, there's a natural, then you're all, what I love about Summer House is the fact that it really can create one storyline every episode.
Yeah.
The whole house is in it. Everyone's fighting. Like that is, I think, why I probably love people still love Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Because if two people are fighting, the whole family's fighting,
A
right?
hundred percent.
So I would worry about that too. That it's like if these people can't sincerely get into these conversations and stand their own, then is it going to be the West and Jesse and Sierra triangle again? Because we saw
A
that.
hundred
We
percent.
need to move past
Totally.
that. Well,
Speaking of fighting, they did also address Carl and Kyle's fight that I know they've been sort of teasing,
yeah.
which is going to happen later in the season. I think it
Okay.
happens at one of the last, at the last actually dinner that they have at the house. They didn't get into the particulars of what leads to the fight, but they did acknowledge that it's definitely due to a lack of communication. Kyle was like, you know, how guys can be, and we just kind of like let stuff build up and build up and build up. And he kind of made a joke about like they got into a fight with Luke before and they're all still friends. So I think that, it was clear that Kyle and Carl are like in a fine place. They're definitely, I wasn't getting any vibes of like lingering resentment.
Good.
But I think Kyle acknowledged he had a lot going on this past summer. I think you're going to see, like I said earlier, sort of like the breakdown of him and Amanda. And I'm sure that's going to be like a factor leading to that fight. Lastly, Carl did get asked about Vanita, something we've been talking about on the pod the last few weeks. And
Tell me.
owners, I am really sad to report that I do not think there is any there. He was very, very kind, I think, in the way that he spoke about her. And it does sound like they've definitely, sort of been at the same Bravo events recently and hung out there. But it just was not giving romance vibes by any. He just didn't feel like there was, any kind of excitement there.
Yeah.
I will say he had probably one of the biggest laughs of the night in talking about it though, because he said, well, ultimately I live in New York, she lives in Charleston, and we all know how that worked out.
Ah,
So I had to hand it for him for that. And it
Carl.
also is like, a fair point. It is sort of funny the connection between these two casts and these two series. So
Well,
that was
yeah, and they're constantly brought together on things like Winter House, which I don't know what happened to that, but I would take a Winter House. Hey, really quickly, all of my jewelry really wants to be shown right now.
is it wanting to be featured? But that's perfect because it's Rhinestone.
It is, I know. It's like, wait, mommy, come let. Okay,
You're like, please.
did Carl talk about his cafe?
Yes. And that was also another sort of hilarious moment. He said that it's been going well. However, there are a lot of challenges with a brick and mortar business. And Lindsay got right in there. It was like, remember how I told you that brick and mortar was hard? It was so clear Carl didn't remember that initially. And so that moment kind of went on for a little bit of banter back and forth where she just kept needling him like, I told you so. I told you so.
Uh-huh.
So, I
Uh-huh.
mean, look, it sounded like more or less fine, but I'm sure he's having he said, candidly, any business even that does sell alcohol is having issues right now, right?
Right,
So
right.
I think having like a non-alcoholic bar is a challenge. He did reference that like a lot of cast members have been supporting him by having events there,
That's awesome.
which I haven't seen his face in person, but there is this whole back room where you look at it and you're like, yeah, he just built that for Instagram parties. Like you could just tell like the vibe, the way the room's set up, everything like that. So that was cool to see. Carl also did just write a book. So he was talking a lot about his new book where he like talks about his sobriety. And he is just so tall. That's really the other thing I wanted to
Ain't
say.
he
He's
though?
just so tall. Like you're
Ain't
just
he
like
tall?
looking at him and you're just like, yeah, I want him and Lindsay to get back together. That was my main takeaway from the night. I think it would be cute. I feel like there's still definitely a vibe between them. I know he's been asked about that in a lot of interviews and talks about the fact that like ultimately they were friends for such a long time before the relationship started. But I don't know. I just definitely still think that there is something there between the two of them. And,
Yeah.
doesn't seem like we're going to see like a ton of Lindsay this season, though, obviously because of her new baby. But
Yeah.
yeah, all in all, it was like a really great time. It was a lot of fun. And I do think that one thing everyone should think about with this season, something else that I think Carl mentioned, is he was like really emotional filming this season because for him, it was a sense of like this might be the last time the core group was together. And I do think that's very telling. I do think this is probably kind of an end of an era, shall we say. So I'm not sure
That's
what we'll be
okay.
seeing after this season, but it might be time to sort of reboot Summer House or think about,
Yeah.
what that's going to look like moving forward.
Yeah. That's so funny. I remember like some guy asking me, not like in a derogatory way, but a little bit like with a nod and a wink, like, attracted you to your husband in the first place? Like, why? And I said, he came around the corner and he was 6'3". What the fuck else are we going to be talking about right now? Sit down. We don't need to be talking about that. I came around the corner and I went like this. And I said, yep, we're good. Um,
Oh, last thing that
Oh,
I
but
did
I
want
was
to,
going to say Cake Eater by Carl. I'm into chapter 2, but the audiobook because he
yeah,
read it himself, you guys, it's really good. I'll link it. I mean, I know you can find it, but I like to link the articles and stuff that we mentioned,
yeah,
so I'll make sure to put it down. Don't read it. Listen to the audiobook. Him telling his own stories, so good. So
yeah,
good.
I think I'm definitely going to dive in for
It's just
sure.
fun.
Yeah, seems like an easy read too. So,
Yeah.
last thing, I have to be a hater. I can't help it, but I just knew like you would appreciate this commentary as well. It is just really funny to be witness to watching fresh Bravo stars trying to like find their place. One of the new guys I can tell I already don't like. He's like a skateboarder. He had this like weird interaction with Wes where it was like I think they were asking a question about like where would you want Summer House to be filmed if transportation wasn't an issue? And I think
Hmm.
someone joked about like the Ozarks or Wes joked about it. And then this guy is also from there and was
Hmm.
like kind of doing this thing of like, oh, I don't know, man. Like, really? Like, almost like acting as if like
Hmm.
he knew more about it than Wes.
Oh, the
Or
negging.
like he
Oh,
was more
classic
tapped
neg.
into the like, to know that that would not be appropriate. So I got like a weird vibe off of him. And then with the ladies, it just was, and I sent you the photo, so you probably noticed this. It was the most hilarious collection of outfits I have
I was
ever
gonna
seen.
say, Nicole.
There
I was
just was no like you just had to wonder in such unique and interesting ways for each one of them you wanted to know what the thought process was, right? Like
Yeah.
one of them had on these black sparkly pants which I was like those are really cute pants and then was wearing like an office top on
Right.
top of it. Another one I don't was like in this like orange satin and then like a white boot and another one looked like she was showing up for Easter supper. We got like a full, floral look.
We had like
And
a
then
cocktail
probably
dress.
the most shocking of all, which I think is one of the cast members that seems to be like maybe going to be more prominent. I guess she's like best friends with Ciara. she was ready for a night at the club
Right.
in a black short jumper. So I just, ladies, just want to say, like, coordinate, take a page from those that have become before you, pun intended. Take a page, Ciara, Paige, Amanda, like, let's just, there's a guide there for
Amanda.
you.
Yeah.
There's lots of imagery that you can use to help figure this out.
Yeah.
These were not the right choices.
Do you ever do that though? Do you ever get like, okay, you get this idea of an outfit in your head, and you're like, that's the outfit I'm wearing to that event. And then you're like getting dressed the night of, and you're on your like third safety pin trying to make this shit work, you know? And you go and you take pictures in it, and you look terrible. And you're like, why did I push that outfit so hard? Like, I
No,
just
that
should have.
doesn't happen to me. I don't know what you're talking.
This is an experience only for our fashion challenge girlies. So
I
any
don't, I just
rhinestones.
candidly don't have that problem. That is not where I struggle, okay? I struggle with like hair and, like the other things. Fashion, the clothing, that is not my issue, okay?
That's me.
It's the
That's
other
my struggle.
it's the other stuff.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's the thing for me. It's the exact opposite. I've got the hair
Your hair looks
locked in.
amazing today, I was gonna
Thank
say.
you. I've got the hair locked in. Like most of the time, I've already thought about my hairdo because it's some sort of like, this is
Yeah.
not like a proper updo by any means, but like it's some sort of updo I'm trying to recreate. And then I have this like fantastic updo and I'm wearing God only knows what. Okay, anyway, keep moving.
All right, rhinestoners, we're gonna go quick because, like we said, it's Sunday, but we would be remiss if we didn't at least talk about our Bravo because every week a new show comes out and we can't get behind, right? If we don't talk about it now, then we're gonna be behind on Friday.
Mhm.
Let's just
Tragic.
say thank God Salt Lake is over. I think as we've been talking about in the pod, these reunions have not been giving us much.
Mm,
I mean, yeah, okay, that's not fair to say. We have been getting things. I'm just not interested in them.
yeah,
And I am ready for it to be over. And thankfully it is. I
yeah,
think obviously the last episode, to me, the real thing of note is Bronwyn's announcement that she's separating from Todd.
for
Everything
sure.
else to me was sort of like, who cares? Because it's just a
Yeah.
lot of the same stuff that they keep cycling on and on about. Look, what I was surprised by is that I actually feel bad for Todd. And here's why. When she started to share some of the details, I think one of the things that really, really shocked me was her revealing that Todd went back and rewatched every single episode of Salt Lake, starting from the very beginning. I think that, as women, especially when you're going through a breakup, like sometimes men are like, cool, see you later. And sometimes they really have no effing clue what they've done wrong. And I think like it was very apparent from what Bronwyn was sharing that Todd is like confused,
Yeah.
And it doesn't give an excuse for his behavior because we do know that he has not necessarily been, entirely respectful or maybe even faithful to Bronwyn. But I do think it was revealing in the sense of this has clearly come as a complete shock to him. And I think the fact that he's like trying to do that work of going back and then being like kind of horrified by what he's seeing, just it did make me feel a little bit bad for the guy.
And I think that there are some people that I've heard, because I did watch a TikTok that said Todd didn't change overnight. Bronwyn knew who he was. Was this
Yeah,
an attempt from Bronwyn to like bring him on, say for the last 5 years, this is how he's been. She's known
yeah,
it. She's like, I have this opportunity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get him on camera. I'm going to expose him for the whatever that he is. And there, when I leave him, it'll be a lot easier because I'll have concrete evidence, right?
yeah,
Like, I I think yes, could that be possible? But I also think too, if we remember the first season that Bronwyn was on, and we're thinking back to that Palm Springs trip, I do think early on there was an attempt from Todd to be a team player for her. Like
yeah.
I remember him in the pool, and maybe the $4 million necklace was a misstep for him to allow that those shenanigans to go on. He should have shut that down, in my opinion. But anyway,
Agreed.
um, so I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit in both camps here, where I say yeah, but then maybe also maybe she was hoping that the show would capture and edit the good parts of Todd, right? The things that she did love about him. It's sad because I'll say this. you mentioned it as a little bit ago about this new Summer House spinoff in the city and how these are going to be people we've never seen. And I'm so excited for that. But a little bit, oh my God, my heart is already pitter-pattering for these people I don't even know,
Their
where I'm
lives
like,
are about to be
oh,
ruined.
don't ruin your life. Like, if you've been just happy and living in New York in your bubble and you happen to be friends with Kyle Cook, like, don't go on TV. Like, ugh.
I think that so few people survive the Bravo machine.
No.
And yeah, it's it if you go on and your relationship is already in a tenuous place, you
There you
have
go.
to know that most likely it's not going to recover. It's actually just going to push you over the edge. And we've seen
Right.
that over and over and over and over and over and over.
Yes. Yes.
And
Unless,
unfortunately, as evidence on Beverly Hills, we also see the opposite. If your relationship is in a great place, just give it enough time and Bravo will ruin it and blow that up too. So I
and
mean,
and and what it'll also do is, I guess, make your husband forget in entirety that he ever was married to you or ever had 4 kids. Just walking around a house like this is weird. Feels familiar.
okay,
Mm,
you know what? Let's just segue right into Beverly Hills because I don't even yeah, Salt Lake, Bronwyn, figure it out.
God
Next
bless.
season will be interesting. I will say.
Oh, it'll
Let's
be good.
see.
Always
Singles
bring it.
Bronwyn, I think, is going to give us quite a bit. Beverly Hills was devastating. And it is because of the scene that you said. I am seeing this scene clipped everywhere right now. And, look, I think like to give Mauricio
Borrowing.
a little bit of a break, it is very much indicative of how a lot of men are just completely in the dark about the moment. But it also illustrates just like why that is so hard for women sometimes,
I know.
As we saw in Beverly Hills this week, I think viewers we've known for a while that Amanda bought Kyle and Maurizio's old house, the one that we've watched for seasons and seasons. And where they basically raised Portia, right?
Right.
So a lot of memories and we saw this episode that Kyle and Maurizio were going to go over to Amanda's to see the house. I think she had been talking about having them over for a while because she wanted to show off the renovations, which I do sort of understand. That was
Yeah.
probably the only relatable moment I've had to Amanda so far, right? I
Yeah.
think women, if you take over something and you renovate it, you of course kind of want the approval of the person that came before. You at least want them to like see the vision. So I totally
Yeah.
understood it from Amanda's standpoint. And I understood for Kyle and Maurizio being curious. I think what was very apparent the second that we got into the scene, though, was that for Maurizio, obviously working in real estate, this very much felt like a real estate visit for him, right? Like, I think he came into it very much like it
Another
didn't even
showing.
feel like he was acknowledging that it was their past house, truthfully. I think that his interest in it was, oh, this is like a home I do know of. It's been flipped, renovated, whatever you want to say. And
Yeah.
now he's there to get ideas,
Right.
kind of like just be in it from that headspace, right?
Yeah.
And I think what we watched Kyle go through was, as she even said, she thought initially, oh, that would just be something fun to do, which I do understand, right? However, there is a big history on Housewives, actually, of people going back to their old homes. And it's usually very emotional. So I do think that's the
Always.
only thing a little bit surprising. Like, we saw Heather Dubrow go back and try and see her
Yeah.
father's. Like, we just saw on Potomac with Tia going to see the house that her father used to live in. It is usually very emotional. But for
Sutton
whatever
and
reason,
seeing her mom's and the chair that her dad used to sit
yes,
in just last season.
100%. So clearly, as we know, though, Kyle doesn't watch the other housewives. So she
That's
is
fair.
not registering
Fair.
that this might be an emotional moment, which she sort of admitted in, I think, one of her confessionals. And, towards the end, she's becoming increasingly emotional going through the tour. She is now crying. And I think what then kind of transpired between her and Maurizio was really, really hard to watch, and that he was 100% not clocking and then even understanding. That's what I wanted to tell you. I thought was the craziest part. Of course, he gets a pass for maybe not registering it. He is not her husband anymore. It is not his job to be emotionally in tune with her at all moments. But when she tried to explain why she was having the reaction she was having, him not even being able to grasp that was so heartbreaking to watch. Probably one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever watched on Housewives.
It was so sad. It was so sad. And then a part of me, okay, I'm gonna save what I'm gonna say until the very end. It was sad. It was sad. It was sad because you would think, even if Everything that you said is true. You would think the part where she was like, oh, and this is where me and Portia used to sit and make phone calls and do homework, right? You would think that there would have been one or two moments of that for him. Oh, that was, I remember when we used to do tub night or bath night, whatever it was.
Something.
Like, that was the craziest part to me that, like, yeah, I get in total that this is a showing to you, but the fact that he couldn't even give her like one or two moments of remembrance and just like honoring what they had was really strange. I
I
I
think
don't
the
know.
reason it's hard for all of us to watch is because, and I don't want to speak for like all of the Bravo universe, but I think I speak for a lot of us in that there is desire that Kyle gets back with Maurizio because we want Kyle to be happy. We love Kyle. And we know that's what Kyle,
That's what I was gonna say.
right?
That's what I was gonna say.
We know that's what she wants. And so that makes us happy to think that that's a possibility.
I
What this
agree.
scene sort of reinforces, especially coming off of what happens earlier in the episode where they actually went into Maurizio out to dinner, what it
Yeah.
reinforces is how checked out he is of this marriage, and it's sort of revealing of his intention in that he doesn't have any interests in getting back together. And I think if
Okay.
he did, there would have been more sensitivity coming through
Yeah.
in that moment. But there is a real coldness, I think, that is coming from him. And I understand why that's upsetting to the viewers. But I also think what's so hard about it is like that would be very normal if we were all accepting of the fact that they are going to get divorced. The reason that this is all reading the way that it is because there's this hope coming from her that like, and because they haven't finalized the divorce, it is kind of
Absolutely.
creating this like gray area. And I do think as
Yes.
a viewer that's making it awkward to watch because in fairness to Maurizio, he is acting exactly as someone would act who's getting divorced. It's just that
Yes.
they're not getting divorced.
And so that's the thing that I was gonna say. So here are my two things. One, it does kind of blow my mind. Listen, she did maybe go off with the Morgan Wade first. And so there is a little bit of that where I sometimes wonder, like, how much can I be down on Mauricio when it kind of does look like she had her foot out, at least publicly.
Yeah.
Now, there were rumors of his feet being
Yeah.
out, but like she made the first public strike, certainly with the music video as well. So then my brain goes to like two things. One, I cannot believe sometimes, like thinking about Mauricio and other men, that really what is making this man more happy is living in a condo alone and having random sex. Like,
It's
that is crazy
insane.
to me.
I was thinking about that all yesterday.
Like, is that like really? Like, at 60, almost 60 years old, that's what's making you really happy right now?
It makes me wonder so many other things too about their marriage. But yeah, I guess so.
I guess
I mean,
so.
honestly, like it does it to put it even more bluntly, as a viewer, it makes it feel very much like all Maurizio cares about is sex.
That's what I mean. It really does feel that way. It
Because
really
that's all
does
it comes
feel
down
that
to.
way.
There's nothing else coming from this arrangement that seems to be like positive for him, right?
Right.
Like he has awkward stuff with his girls now as a result, right? He's making weird choices about his own profile and stuff that probably would have been better guided under the stewardship of someone like Kyle Richards. Like,
Right.
it's sort of,
The whole like he will never emotionally fulfill you thing, I really do think is true because I think we're looking at someone who is incredibly emotionally stunted.
yeah.
I mean, I don't, and my second thing is not knowing the full story. I do wonder if you want your man, have you asked? Have you gone to him?
Well, I think
You
that
said
sort
it?
of gets to something that Bose said, which, so to jump to that scene, was really happy to finally get to see Bose meet Maurizio. I actually think that, again, as
I
a viewer,
know.
like, I didn't even realize how much I was like wanting that moment because, like, you sort of realize, oh, yeah, these two have never
Just a kind of
in-
unbiased perspective.
interacted, right?
Right.
And I just, Bo's confessional was exactly what I wanted to hear from her, which is like, oh, yeah, I get it. It makes sense. But she said that where she was like, I get it, but also Kyle, why are you not doing anything to reel him back in? Right? Like, I think it's possible that she is, and it's just not having any effect. And I think that is where she would never show that because it's embarrassing. Right? And to your point about him being emotionally stunted, I actually disagree. And that's the thing that makes it so hard watching him if we go back, I actually think in a lot of the time where we would see Maurizio and Kyle together, he was very emotionally in tune with her.
No, yeah, you're right.
I
Love
don't think that
Dean.
that was ever his issue. And so that to me is why it's so hard to watch because I think it shows how cut off he is from her, right? Like
Yeah.
he that was why she was so happy in that marriage. Like he is an emotional man. He does have a track record of being able to pick up on why she's upset about things or being able to side with her in some of the arguments and some of the bigger things that have happened because he understands like the nuance. Like, I think it's been talked about for years and years, like that a lot of other housewives would have loved to have someone like Maurizio in their corner. Who was that actually that said that recently? That they would, I think
Maybe
it
Sutton?
maybe I was a house, I think it was a housewife on another franchise, and they were
Well, and
making the
even
point that it's
this, even
easier to
this.
have a Maurizio in your corner than it is a Todd.
And I think Todd, now that we're learning about Todd, just I because I was going to touch on the finances of it, but we all know from the iconic, infamous, unfortunately, limo fight, right? As soon as Mauricio started making a little bit of money, he was paying for Kim's lifestyle too.
Yeah.
So, he also has been there for her in total as far as like her family,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like Kathy Hilton always had money and apparently she wasn't helping Kim. We had to wait until Mauricio made money to help Kim, right? So it's kind of like that's noble, not noble, but like that always made me like him too. That it
Yeah.
was clear in that limo fight that he was 100% in on whatever was going on with Kyle, you know?
That's what I'm saying. So I think it just shows that he's very shut off
It's so
from the
sad.
relationship. And it's just really I just don't have anything else to say other than it's just really sad. And I think what was interesting about last season, the season prior, is like you still sort of see Kyle remaining somewhat tight-lipped and trying to work through things and not really sharing about her love interest and all of that. The theme this season is like it's just very sad with her because it's so clear that she is thinking about him, that she's wanting reconciliation. Um, that just seems to be sort of the veil in this season for Kyle, and it's like I think we all know it's not going to happen. So
Kyle is a year
hard to
before the
watch.
realization that Sutton is sitting with now, right? Like
Yeah,
Sutton is realizing now, oh, I can't call him back and he'll come running.
yeah.
And I think that Kyle's about 6 months away from realizing that, or maybe she already has.
It also is what makes it so interesting that her and Dorit are going through this at the same time because Dorit, to her own point this episode, is in a completely different situation in that PK is not treating her in the way that Kyle is being treated.
Right.
She's not getting that same respect. There's no let's still go on vacations together, let's still be a family, and so you're seeing sort of like both sides, right, of like what it can turn out like. But
By
it
the
is
way, I will say one thing
sadder for some
about
reason.
that. The crazy part to me about the Dorit and PK of it all is that we got one bad season with PK and Dorit.
Yeah.
PK and Dorit were thick as thieves for every season, for always. Did they fight? Yeah. Did we see disagreements? For sure. Did we all think that like PK was smarmy in some way? Yeah. But it didn't, it was up until the Julia Roberts Pretty Woman inspired birthday thing. Up until that moment, it was pretty much like I felt Dorit actually really liked him. And even the way that he was always involved in his businesses and stuff. So it does in that regard, the PK thing does kind of catch me off guard where I'm like, why does he hate her so much? He never seemed to hate her. She never seemed to be a drag on him. Uh,
Yeah.
it,
I feel like they've had a lot bigger issues than before the Julia Roberts thing. I think that they were already struggling before the robbery, and then he really started treating her bad after the robbery. Because if you
the
remember a
robbery,
lot of the
something
like
happened there.
therapy stuff that they went to go through, and he was like very insensitive to her PTSD
That's
and
right. He
not
was like, you need to get
understanding
over it.
of any of her trauma. Like, I don't think she's been in love with PK for years because to go through a traumatic incident and then have your husband make a mockery of it is like, you know,
That could be
extremely,
rough. That could be rough.
it's rough.
It's rough.
Um, Only other thing we should touch on is Southern Charm, and I don't even know what to say because we have been watching Austin and Craig go round and 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 round for years. And now we watch them in the round at Austin's birthday table. doing the same thing. And I just don't even, I mean, do you even have an opinion on this? I just don't know if I care. It's like, I just feel like they're having the same arguments and they're both at fault. You know, Austin, I think, is like way too sensitive and
Yeah.
also way too into Craig. And that's why he's kind of like taking
Yes.
all these things. He's almost like he's in love with him, which we all know.
Yes.
I talk about that every week on Watch What Happens Live. Um, and then with Craig, it's like he has this illusion that he takes accountability because he can
Right.
sit in a scene, you know, with Shep and Rodrigo and say, well, I'm accountable. I can
Right.
stand here in daylight and tell you guys all the things that I'm doing. And it's like, okay, yes, that is you taking accountability and you are acknowledging things that you should be accountable for in this scene. However, Austin is trying to explain to you that you, or it feels like, manipulated him by saying that you were dealing with addiction when he was trying to have a serious conversation about his grievance. That is manipulation. Just take accountability for it, Craig. You don't have to say that it was intentional manipulation. Like, and it probably wasn't. I doubt in that moment, I'm not like, let's be real. Let's not give Craig enough credit to think that he was able to come up with addiction as the way to get out of the Austin issues. Okay. I don't think that was
Right.
extremely calculated. I
Right.
think Austin approached him. He was feeling vulnerable and was like, I'm going to share this thing with him that's been on my mind. Right. But dude, lens out. We all know that bringing up your addiction issues shuts down a conversation, just like bringing up your dead twin son also makes it impossible to have a conversation.
There's
Like,
nowhere to go from there.
there is
You,
nowhere to go. And I think sometimes if Craig could have just said, you know what, Austin, look, I didn't mean to intentionally manipulate you with my addiction, but I do understand why you felt like that was cutting you off at the pass. Maybe we can move on from some of these moments. These two are just so flawed, and I don't have any hopes of it really changing, to be honest.
I I think maybe I think maybe only because I have heard different takes. I do think I sit more firmly on the side of Austin.
Mm,
Only because you're right. I mean, neither are blameless, but I really do have an issue with this idea to your point. Last season, Craig basically was saying if I have a drop of alcohol, it could put me in a situation where I could lose everything I love, inclusive of perhaps my life.
yeah,
And to say that to someone as the reason why you're not going out, yeah, was it I just want to sit and have sex with Paige and sit around my house. Sure, he was saying those things too, but within that was, and I'm also addicted to something, and my addiction has sent me down a bad path with Adderall and all and probably cocaine, let's be honest, okay? And I'm afraid that if I indulge, I will go down the cocaine and Adderall path again, and I don't want to do that, right? So and then to turn around and be like, here I am, shot king, and you can't say anything. If it's if it's an acquaintance, I get it. This is someone who you are opening event spaces with, you're opening restaurants with, you had a podcast with. This is someone you purport to be your best friend. I think it's okay for Austin to maybe be worried. And I honestly also think it would maybe be wrong of Austin to not say anything. So he's your
yeah,
best friend in the world, but he's just going to say, okay, bro, sure, you were telling me you were addicted last season. This season you're not. I'm cool. Well, what if something happened to you?
yeah.
And
What if even now you're still doing something that's harming you and you just, it's, I don't know.
Austin at one point did say too, like when Shep was really going through his stuff before his ayahuasca. I don't know where it was. Maybe it was on the Pillows and Beers podcast with Craig, but I remember him saying, "You don't understand what it's like to be out in Charleston with Shep when he's like this. I
Mm,
am peeling him off floors. I am fighting security guards. I'm
right.
paying people off to not call cops, right? Like, and I just do feel that maybe that is the position that Austin is consistently in with these two yokels, where it's like he does know how to hold his alcohol.
I do agree
He,
with that. You don't hear those stories about Austin.
you, right, right. Yeah, but you've heard them about Craig too. You have heard, and we've seen it. So I do think too, maybe Austin is just like, man, I have been so squarely in your corner for so long. Like, and then for Craig to say the thing about like you haven't, I don't know. I guess in my little brain, I always think, okay, so we're not hearing about Trop Off on the West Coast, but that just it probably is really popular. And it's like,
No,
no.
it's going nowhere. Well, I am very excited, I will say, for the rest of the season because the upcoming scenes, like, I mean, I can't say I'm surprised, but it's very apparent that Austin is going to cheat on his girlfriend with Sally.
Which
So,
is like, yay.
I mean, we just want to get back to the roots of Southern Charm. Give us what the people want, okay? That's what we want to see. That is the messiness.
Sally didn't get these boobs done for no reason.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, girlfriend does not care. So I am excited for the rest of it, but I just, yeah, the whole like Austin and Craig, not so much.
I will say though, once again, if anyone is wondering, people wonder, and then and what is it? And they're 6'4", y'all. They're
Yeah,
6'4".
yeah,
All three of them. So
100%.
doesn't matter.
It's that is like, I mean, let's be real. We live in a world now where give it like 5, 10 years and that leg lengthening procedure is going to be absolutely commonplace because there's already people doing it. So that is how much people value height in our society. Well, Rhinestoners, this was so fun. I'm happy and proud of us that we were still able to pack it in, even on a Sunday.
We pulled through.
We really got through it. That was
We
episode
really did.
12. We will be back on Friday because you're
Well,
gonna get better.
oh, I'm gonna be no rip and raring. And I don't want to put it on the pod because I don't want to like whatever. But I'm also kind of thinking like we got to plan a live. Maybe we should like live watch that new, not Summer House, but maybe that new New York show that comes out or something.
Yeah, that would be
And
fun. We should definitely do that.
we'll talk about it.
Let's look at the calendar and figure out like what would make sense to do. I think
Yeah, because I'm gonna be too into Summer House. I can't talk to you during that.
no. We should do it. I agree. We should do it with something we can be a little bit. And you know what? We still maybe I'll try and work them for Friday, but we still need to talk about Shaw's because there is a lot of really fun stuff happening on
There
that.
is.
And I did see that they delivered the second highest introduction for like a
Yep.
series for Bravo after
Yep.
Introduction NYC, I guess. So
Yep. Yeah, there's some
we'll
really
definitely
interesting storylines that the widowed husband. Ooh, I don't
oh,
know.
yeah.
Lots going on.
It's kind of giving the Valley season 1 for me.
For
So,
sure.
you know,
For
loving
sure.
it. Good
Yeah.
stuff. All right. Love
I
you,
love you,
sissy.
Sissy. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.
You too. See you
Bye,
on Friday.
Rhinestoners.
Bye, Rhinestoners.